what's called in the halacha tikkun oicholin, which is preparing food on Shabbos. There are all different kinds of issues that need to be taken into account with regards to preparing food on Shabbos. I'm just going to work, even though the order may seem a little bit odd to you, we're just working according to the order that it appears inside of the Shulchan Aruch, inside of the Mishnah Berurah. So you need to be careful about certain things. First of all, one of the most basic problems inside of preparation of food is actually colouring things. We'll talk about this, but for example, if you've got a drink and you add, let's say you add, I don't know,
coffee, then put milk.
Coffee, you put in milk. If you want like what they drink over here, petel.
What do you mean?
They serve it in the yeshiva, right?
Mm-hmm.
Petel.
Yeah.
Like juice. You want but artificial juice. So you put in some kind of a concentrate, and then you add the water. And the water's now turning
like
into the
Kool-Aid
colour.
kinda.
Yeah,
That's okay,
Kool-Aid,
right?
huh?
That's okay, right?
Hey, 1 minute. Let me get there. Stop jumping the gun, right? What about certain spices? You add certain spices into food and it changes the colour of the food, right? So certain spices, for example, what's the stuff called?
Curry,
the yellow?
saffron.
Saffron, right? Saffron, which I don't imagine you'll be adding into your food in any time soon because it's very expensive.
Yeah.
But saffron turns things yellow. Curry turns things orangey unless you put a lot in, and then it turns your face red. All these beets, right? Yeah, no, for sure. Beets. If you add beets into whatever, beet juice leaks into something that you're making, it's going to turn whatever it is red. I was once, years and years ago, we were once doing an outreach camp in London in the summer, and I've got no idea why, but we were given permission. It was a camp with tents and everything, and we were given permission to go into a field that belonged to the person that we were doing that we were pitching the tents in. He had a beet field, and he told us that we could pick beets over there for free. So, being Jews, we went in and picked, 10 tons of the stuff or something, and brought, and for the next day, everything had beets, everything. Cornflakes with beet juice instead of milk, and beet juice to drink, and stewed beets, and roasted beets, and boiled beets. And anyway, after the first day, the next morning, 3 boys get up in the morning and they go to the bathroom, and they are passing blood. Well, we didn't know that. You can imagine there's like mass chaos going on. These people are getting up in the morning, they're passing blood. The urine is red. And so we call the ambulance service until they get to this flat. We thought they're going to die. Like, how do you tell parents, that we're sorry, but your child has died whilst he's on camp, and not only that, but they can't have their money back either. How do you tell them that, right? And so these 3 kids, and they were absolutely petrified. You can imagine, right? So Baruch Hashem, I didn't go with them. One of the other guys went into the ambulance together with them, took them off to the ambulance, and they're doing all these tests. And one of the doctors in the emergency ward comes over and he says to them, "Have you been eating beetroots recently?" So they said, "Yeah." So he says, "A lot?" So they said, "Well, kind of." He says, "It's coloured your urine." He said, "You're passing beet juice." That's what you're doing. Which was a little bit of an eye opener, actually. So I don't normally I don't touch beetroots, actually. That's but whatever. Huh? No, I don't. I don't like borscht at all. The only thing that I have my beetroots with is a little bit of chrein. That's okay. But whatever. Anyway, so you've got different kinds of foods that can colour. Right? They're okay to use. They're not okay to use. Is it okay? Is it mutter?
Mutter to eat beets at Shabbos?
Yeah, just don't go to the bathroom. That's all. Hold on till after Shabbos. Here, let's have a look and see. There's never a problem with adding a spice to food that will colour the food, because the reason why you're adding it is because you want the taste and not because you want the colour. Which means like this. 99 times out of 100, right? That's the case. But if you've got a vested interest, I don't know, you're making some kind of fancy dinner, right? And you want your foods to be, to be color coordinated. And on Shabbos, you're going to add saffron into your rice because you've got everything is sort of yellow, orangey, goldy colors. Then that would be forbidden, because you're not adding it in order to have the taste, you're adding it in order to be able to have the color, that's a problem.
You mean compared to, say, nourishment? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, sure. Which
If
means
it's
if you
not
want
nourishing-
your saffron in there because you like the taste, then it makes no difference whatsoever that it's coloring whatever you're eating. But if you want the color, that's what you may like the taste as well, but the real reason you're doing it right now is because you need everything on your table are those kind of colors. That would be forbidden to do on Shabbos because that's considered to be dyeing. With a Y.
Which kind?
Well, I don't know. Actually, you can decide for yourselves. I'm not going to enforce my grammatical laws upon you. We're very pluralistic over here, right? So that's okay. Of course, the one thing you've got to be careful of course, if there's any problem, maybe of cooking, like certain spices, maybe you put it into hot food, then maybe it's going to cook the spice, and that would be a problem to do on Shabbos, and you do it before Shabbos. I'm talking over here simply about the issues of colouring the food or not. But by the way, I like curry. I think it's great, and I only found out only a few years ago. I found out that curry is not a spice. Curry is it's a collection of different spices that are ground and put together, mixed together. Curry is not its own thing. And that was quite an interesting, that explains why there's so many different kinds of curry as well, because it's got a lot to do with what you put in and what your mixtures are and where you come from. So, I come from Golders Green, so don't think that curry is not really like a big deal over there. But if different parts of India, curry tastes completely different, depending on where you come from. So I just thought I'd throw that in so you wouldn't say that I never taught you anything. That's all. Okay. What about coffee and tea essence and all those kinds of things? So Rav Moshe wants to know about his cup of coffee. You can have it, you can't have it. Now, never mind the milk right now. You're taking water, hot water, right, and you're turning it brown, right? When you add the coffee granules, or if you're putting in your tea essence, you're turning it brown as well. So is that okay or it's not okay? It's permitted because the main reason that the reason you're doing it is not to color anything. The reason you're doing it is in order, again, to have the taste. You want a cup of coffee. It's not that you want this thing. You wouldn't care if somebody would invent coffee that wasn't brown. It wouldn't make any difference to you. You would drink that anyway, right? However, there is, according to some opinions, it is better to perhaps put the coffee in first and then add the water, right? That way, I'd say if you've got the water and you add in the coffee, you're turning the water brown, right? Whereas if you've got the coffee in there already and you're adding the water, then it's diluting the coffee as opposed to you're making the coffee watery as opposed to making the water coffery, right? However, when it comes to wine, you got to be a little bit more careful with wine. If you're adding red wine into white wine, which sometimes people do that, right? They like the taste, whatever it is. Then it's a little bit of a problem, right? Because that's dyeing. You're changing the color of the wine, and presumably one of the reasons that you're doing it is because you like the color.
People
right?
really do that?
Yeah, I've seen people do all kinds of weird things with wine. For example, I've seen people take a bottle of wine, pour it into a glass, and drink it.
Why?
I don't know. I wouldn't do that.
That's classy.
Spoken like a college student. They're very economical on glasses and cups in college, right? What do you need them for?
Ain't no time to do dishes.
White wine and red wine, you're changing your color, but you're not changing because of the color. You want to have that kind of taste.
Yeah, okay, so it's interesting that for some reason the poskim are more machmir when it comes to the wine, and they suggest that the best thing to do is to put in the red wine first and then add the white wine, because that way the red wine remains red. It's just becoming slightly what's the word? Slightly less red. Thank you. I know it was one of those technical words that. I was going to say slightly diluted, but you don't dilute colours, do you?
Saturated.
Oh, even better. Can somebody come up with a longer word than that?
Less saturated.
Saturated is the state of my roof right now, and my electric box actually.
Your socks.
My socks, not the ones I'm wearing right now. So it would be better to add the white wine into the red wine, just in order to to that way the wine it remains red. It's just becoming paler. Tailor, right?
Nice. Sounds very technical.
Thank you. No, I'm just thinking of words. We might need a pail to help out at home when the stuff starts dripping through the ceiling. So that's what came into my mind. We said that it's permissible to add spices into food that are going to color the food, right? It's permissible, for example, to take white rice and to put beetroot, stewed beetroots on top of it, even though the juice of the beetroot is going to soak into the rice, and it's perhaps going to change its color, because that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it because you want the two, these two things together. However, somebody who adds colors into foods to make them more appealing, so that is always forbidden to do on Shabbos, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it could be that you're eating. Let's say you're a chef, and this is what you do. You enjoy making different colors and making your food look better. And even if you're eating by yourself and you just want a plate of rice and beets because that's what you fancy, you wouldn't be allowed to eat them together on Shabbos, because that's what you do, right? That's it. That's how you make your food look more attractive. I once saw what's it called? A program, a documentary. I don't know what's happened to me today. a documentary that talked about how they make food look attractive for photographs.
Oh.
And what they do is absolutely astonishing. If you ever wondered about that succulent looking, cheeseburger from McDonald's, that advert that you're looking at here, you must be an expert in all this kind of stuff.
It's not even real food.
It's
not even real food.
It's not, it might start off with something real inside of it somewhere, right? But by the time they're finished and draw out the colors and make sure that everything looks as good as it looks, this stuff is not it's not edible. What you get in the shop is nowhere. There's no real comparison one with the other. So that's what he's saying. Somebody who does that, that's his job. Then he wouldn't be able to do these things on Shabbos anyway. Again, there's a machlokes haposkim about whether it's okay to color food on Shabbos or not. However, it's according to most poskim, it's okay to do. However, what's interesting is like this: there's a question in halacha about, can you eat icy pops on Shabbos? Right? What's the problem with eating icy pops on Shabbos? Well, they turn your lips blue. Right? Or your tongue blue. Anyone who's ever been a child before, I don't know if anybody here was ever a child, but if anyone here was ever a child and you try to snaffle some icy pops without your mummy knowing about it, right? It's like one of those things that how does she know? I don't know, she's got some kind of inner sense that you've just had a blueberry icy pop or a raspberry icy pop, and the truth is she hasn't got inner sense at all. It's written all over your lips and your tongue, right?
That's only a result of eating it, though.
Sorry?
That's only a result of eating it.
It's a result of eating it. So according to the poskim, it is permissible to eat icy pops on Shabbos. Sometimes I would say it's perhaps even recommended to eat icy pops on Shabbos because they're good. But that's just my personal opinion.
What if you want to eat it just to make your lips?
Oh, so say the poskim, if you're going to eat this because you want to color your lips, then it's forbidden. Right, so for example, maybe this is not something which is so applicable to men, but women, if they want to eat a raspberry icy pop just to redden up their lips a little bit, so that they'll look, even more attractive than they already do. If that's why you're doing it, then it would be forbidden to do it. Right? Keep that in mind, right? So if you decide that you want to have blue lips or green lips or whatever it is on Shabbos, and that's why you're eating your icy pop, you should not be doing it. Okay, what about making drinks? So you take a powder and you make a drink. Soda streams, they've got liquids, that you add into the soda, and then it becomes whatever flavor you want it to be. All those kinds of things. The ubiquitous petel over here in Israel, which when I first came here, that's really all there was to drink. Petel, petel came in all different kinds of colors, but it was all the same flavor. Because this is Israel, and they only knew how to make petel. They didn't know how to make anything else. Is it okay to take a cup of water and to add your concentrate into there turning it into, red or orange or green or yellow, whatever it is? Is it okay to make make a soda stream and to put in whichever flavor you want? Is that okay or it's not okay? So it's permitted to do that. Why is that again? Because you're not doing it for the color, you're doing it for the drink. You want the taste. However, there's an interesting ruling from Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, who says that if a child asks for a specific flavor, then it's better to have the child make it and not have an adult make it, because one of the things that the child wants is the color. Which means that for adults, they're less concerned about the color and they're more interested in the taste. But for the child, very often it's the color which draws his attention.
Does it matter? So you would take what you're trying to dilute, put that in first, and then you would put in the water or the carbonation or whatever. If that applies, does the SodaStream machine do that? Does it?
I think what happens with the soda, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that you make the soda first, and then you add the syrup into it. That's what I think. I don't think you mix up the mixture together and then put it into the machine and bubble it up like that. I think that there's children are drawn towards certain colors. We all know that, right? There's a very beautiful story that Rav Shach, who was the undisputed leader of Lithuanian Jewry over here, the Rosh Hashiva in Ponevezh, one of the greatest Talmidei Chachamim of our generation. He used to walk around, it's not very well known, but he used to walk around with candies in his pocket. And he would give them out to the kids. And he once went round to somebody's house. He was together with, one of his students. He wanted to speak to the father, and he knocked on the door. A little kid opened the door, and he asked, can I speak to your father? And the little kid comes back, he says his father's not home. So Rav Shach puts his hand in his pocket, and he pulls out 2 candies, one green and one red. And he says to the kid, here, choose one. Which one do you want? So of course the kid took the red one, obviously. So the student that was together with Rav Shach says to him, Rabbi, he says, you're going to turn him into an Esav. Right? Esav, who was drawn towards the Adom Azeh, give me that red stuff. And Rav Shach looked at his student, he says, there's nothing wrong with a child wanting a red candy. He says Esav's problem was that he never grew up. And I think that if somebody, if you're an adult and you're still choosing your drinks according to the color and not according to the taste, then maybe it's better to have a child make your drink for you on Shabbos, like Rosh Shlomo Zalman says, rather than making it yourself. But most adults tend to, it's a taste that interests them. Although, interestingly enough, a few years ago, Coca-Cola came up with a whole new series of drinks that tasted exactly the same but had no color in them. So they had Coca-Cola. It was clear Coca-Cola. It was just, and nobody bought the stuff. Yeah. Apparently, the color is something that's pretty important for people's enjoyment. But nevertheless, over here, Rosh Shlomo Zalman says that it's okay to make all of these drinks. It's okay to make them on Shabbos, so long as you're not doing it because of the color. Okay.
But can you do it for a 3-year-old?
If the 3-year-old is asking you, they want the red one, give me the red drink, then it's better to have the 3-year-old make it for themselves. Just be together with them. No, you can, I think 3-year-olds are perfectly capable of spilling their drinks just like adults do.
But again, you can put the petal in first and then add the water. Right?
Yeah, or you can. The emesis, if the 3-year-old is doing it, you can put the water in and you can say, here, just add some of the juice in, add some of the syrup in, and tell the kid when to stop. Right, as it starts pouring over the side of the cup, that's probably enough. I would have thought. I mean, most kids, given the opportunity, would probably drink the syrup without the water, but for some reason their parents don't let them do that. Something else with regards to preparation of food that needs to be a concern is what's called memachik. What is memachik? When you smooth something down. So you're making salads, right? You want your salads to look attractive when you bring them out and you put them onto the table, right? So you take, hummus and you stuff it into a bowl, right? And then you smooth it down. Some people like to take a fork and they, draw across it in order to make, little patterns over there. The truth is, anything, tuna salad, egg salad, all these kinds of things that you want them to look nice when you put them out on the table. It's a suffix. There's a problem. It's a machlokes, but there's a suffix about whether it's considered to be mamachik or not. And it would be better not to smooth it out entirely, which means don't turn this into some kind of a, don't take out your spatula and get out your toolbox and start get out your spirit level to see exactly whether this stuff is completely flat or it's not flat. Just make it look decent enough, and then you can put it out onto the table. However, what's the machlokes? Machlokes is like this. According to the halacha, if you're going to eat this stuff immediately, then the issa of mamachek is not applicable, which means you're going to bring these salads out and you're going to put them down. You're going to do it now, and then you're going to put them down and you're going to eat. Talk about immediately. When was it? Yesterday, I think. However, it's not really a problem. That's how the Ramah paskins. However, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says that it's something that we should try to be careful about, right? So it's better not to smooth things out entirely. Good. Okay. More.
What would be an example, Rabbi?
Here. So, for example, you want hummus, egg salad, tuna salad. You want to take it. You've prepared it all before Shabbos, right? And you put it into. You've got it in some kind of a container, and you put it into an attractive bowl to put onto the table. But you want it to look nice on the top as well, right? So you should try to avoid doing that. Yeah. Go for the rustic look.
But if it's done to cover Shabbos.
Even if it's done to cover Shabbos, because it's a suffix about whether it's okay to do it or not. So it's better to be. The Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says that it's better to be stringent. Again, if you do it, are you transgressing? I don't think it's possible to say that you're transgressing something over here.
Sorry, what's the question?
About smoothing out salads when you put them out onto the table to make them look nice.
Oh. So what's also?
So let's say, for example, you've got tuna salad that you made before Shabbos with tuna and mayonnaise and whatever else you put in it, right? And then you want to take that and you want to put it into something more attractive to put on the table. So you just spoon it into whatever it is that you're putting it into, and now you want the top to look smooth. Right? So very often people take a spoon and they'll smooth it down, or they'll take a fork and they'll smush it down. Right? So according to some opinions, it's certainly the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says it's better not to.
Why is that?
Because there's one of the prohibitions of Shabbos is something called mamachek, which is smoothing things out, right? And if that's the case, then because there's a question mark about whether that's what it is or whether it's not, so it's better to be. It's not better. It's recommended to be stringent. Again, if you do it, you're not transgressing something, and certainly not if it's going to be eaten straight away, right? So you're taking this food, you're preparing it in the kitchen, putting it out on the table to eat at the Suda immediately.
But what Avera is it similar to?
It's one of the Lamatet Melachot, which means there are 39 prohibitions from which we're not allowed to do on Shabbos, from which all the other prohibitions are attached to somehow, and it's one of those. Okay, at this point somebody should have asked a very basic question, but you didn't, so I'm going to ask it instead. Right? I'm working on the premise that you didn't ask it because you obviously know the answer, but because we've got to fill up time somehow over here, I'm going to ask this question. What about, if you've got to be careful about smoothing things out, what about smearing things on your piece of challah? Right? So you want to put peanut butter on your challah, you want to put butter on your challah, right? You want to put mayonnaise, you want to put jam, right?
You're eating it immediately.
Huh? You're eating it immediately.
Is
Yeah.
this on Shabbos?
On Shabbos. During the week, there's no problem with smearing your piece of bread with anything.
So you couldn't treat it as a tuffle. You'd have to say the bracha.
No, interesting. No. Why? We're moving into two separate halachas over here. This is not a halacha of what's more important and what's less important. Which means that the bracha is taken care of by when you make hamotzi lechem in haaretz, the bracha is going to take care of whatever you're going to put on your bread. right? Regardless, whether it's jam, whether it's peanut butter, whether it's mayonnaise, whatever it is, right? The problem over here is a separate prohibition of smoothing things, smearing things, right? Whether it's okay to do that on your piece of bread. So the answer is, yes, it is. More than that, not only are you allowed to do it, but you're allowed to do it in a way that you cover the entire piece of challah, whatever it is, right? You don't have to put it on in a more haphazard way to show that you're not being mamriach over here. It's fine, you can cover everything at all, right? Why is that? Because you want to enjoy the piece of bread that you're going to eat, right? And the piece of bread underneath is, that's why you're doing it, so you can cover the whole thing over. I used to try to convince my wife until she learned Hilchos Shabbos. I used to try to convince my wife that it's the reason why I'm putting like huge chunks of butter on my piece of bread is because it's a problem to smooth it out. And when she asked me during the week, so I would say, well, I don't want to forget on Shabbos. I don't want to forget. But after a while, she latched on to what was going on, and that was the end of that.
So you do like, when you said when you put the hummus in the bowl, you just chuck it in.
Yeah.
You do the same thing when you put it on bread.
With the hummus, interestingly enough, once you're putting the hummus onto your bread, then you can spread it out, and you can make sure that it's spread out.
You can't spread it originally. You have to put it
right when it goes into the bowl. You should try to avoid spreading it, like smoothing it out in the bowl, right? But when you put it onto your piece of challah, because it's going to be eaten straight away, you can spread it out, and you can cover the entire piece of challah with whatever it is that you're smearing on.
Smoothing it out, you don't want to beautify that salad or whatever. You're really putting it empty. You want it to look good, but that's not.
Wait, at which point? When you're talking about putting it onto the table?
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying
Or when you take it to eat it, to put it onto your challah.
Take my wife, okay? She has to have certain things matching and all that.
Yeah.
And you're right. You happen to be right. If you smooth it out, you're smoothing it out not because you're going to eat it.
Because you want it to look nice, right? For sure.
Well, you gave me some ammunition now.
What happens, say you put the hummus on the
Don't
bread,
forget the hele
and
chashon
then you
Make it
smooth it
spread.
out. What happens if your intentions when you're doing the second stage to smooth it out was in order for it to look nice? Is that wrong?
On where? On your piece of challah?
Yeah, you put the lump on it, and then you do the second stage, you smooth it out. Then afterwards, your intentions was that you wanted it to look nice on your bread.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it sounds like maybe you need some professional help.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Why?
I don't. I mean, personally.
No, not you. I wasn't suggesting you. Of course not. You just happened to be the one that brought it up. That's all.
I'm just curious.
I don't know. You know what? I mean, I imagine I don't know anyone that addresses that particular detail, but I imagine it would be okay, right? Because you're going to eat it straight away. Like it said in Lauffer that you can cover. You want the entire piece of challah to be covered, right? So you can spread whatever it is all over every part of that piece of challah to make sure everything is covered, because that's how you want to eat it. So I guess if your intention to doing this is because you want your challah to look attractive,
while you're eating it.
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I do think that it is a rather. I think it's a rather revealing.
Intentions.
I think it's a rather revealing insight into a person's personality. If he really cared about this piece of bread that he wanted to look so nice, he probably shouldn't be eating it. If he really had this, treat it with the utmost respect. I don't know. If you've got here's an interest. If you've got chunky jam, what we call jam in England, and what you people call jelly,
Yes.
and we call jelly, what we call jelly in England, you call jello, right? It's a complicated business. You know that Winston Churchill once said that England and America are two countries that are separated by a common language. And it's true. I don't know, English and Americanish and whatever. But if you've got jam, fruit jams, very often they come with bits of fruit in them. They're chunky, right? So what do you do? It is better not to smooth that down as much as you can, right? So that's the kind of thing that it's better just to put it onto your piece of bread and spread it around a little bit and be done with it. Oh yeah.
Last night in Shabbos Gehilchasa. he said it was about a problem of teichen, not of mechnochai. So you're allowed to spread it
Yeah,
because it's cooked already.
right. But there's an Indian, it's just an Indian of not, again, it's better not, if you're going to do it, again, when it says that it's, the Lashon in the Halakha is it's praiseworthy to avoid doing it, right? So what does that mean? What it's saying is it's not a prohibition per se, right? But it's something that it's better not to do, that's all. So if you've got chunky jam, you're better off just like, spreading it lightly over your piece of bread. And,
Why is that?
Huh?
Why?
Because of the pieces themselves, you're not supposed to smooth out those pieces. You got bits of fruit in there.
One that's considered as cooking. What,
I have a good question.
Huh?
I don't know, but what's the?
It's called how do you say toichin? Mincing, crushing.
Oh, crushing.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Fine.
Tommy mayonnaise.
yeah.
Yeah.
Toothpaste.
Right. Exactly. How are you allowed to press it out of the tube on Shabbos?
Why not?
What's the
Good
question?
question. Why?
There's
It's a tube, right?
Swiss. It's a bizarre Swiss invention called Tommy mayonnaise, and it's got mayonnaise and mustard inside of it, and it's got
all mustard,
some kind of seasoning inside of it. And I tell you, between you and me, please don't pass this around but it's pretty good. However, it's bizarre. It comes in a toothpaste tube. I'm not kidding.
Cool.
Yeah,
No.
for sure. Just don't muddle it up. That's all.
Can you brush your teeth with it?
You brush your teeth with anything. Anything. Why? What are you concerned about? The what?
When you go from the back, like a nice Swiss person, you smooth it out from the back like a normal person. Like you toothpaste at home. How do you do? You smooth it from the back?
You don't use toothpaste on Shabbos.
I'm not talking about it.
Oh, during the week?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I use Tommy.
We're going to start counting your
B'shas
jokes.
Adchak. If there isn't any Tommy, you can brush your teeth with Hellman's as well. But you should use a reduced calorie. Otherwise, you could get fat from brushing your teeth. That's right. So what's the problem? Why? Because you're what?
You're smoothing it out from the back.
Do you know what? I've never thought about it. I don't know. Bli Nera, look into it. I don't think.
You're supposed to just squeeze it like a moron.
So how do you do that? You as
Not from
a
the back,
Swiss
not from the back.
Swiss
It's
person,
very
how do you
hard.
do
It's
that?
very hard. Very hard for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I have
have
to
to do it
cry
in a
over
regular
it.
way.
Yes.
What?
You have to do it in an irregular way.
In an irregular way. Yeah. So squeeze it in the
Squeeze it in the
middle.
middle.
Roll it up.
You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to do that.
Well, don't have it at
You're
all.
not allowed to roll. You're not allowed to squeeze from the back. What?
Well, don't have it
What,
at
Shorty?
all.
What did you just say?
No. Doesn't work.
I don't think we understand. We don't understand what he's saying. It's not. It is rather odd stuff, actually. It must be said. But
delicious,
my kids think it's hilarious because they see mayonnaise coming out of a toothpaste tube. It's
It's
like
hard to live without.
And it has mustard.
I mean-
it has mustard in it.
mayonnaise. It's hard to live with as well, actually. But
It
yeah, it's
plugs
got-
your arteries.
They don't like
Mayonnaise?
mayo. They don't like mayo in England?
yeah, of course they do. But
Fish, chips in mayo.
Yeah.
That's a Belgian thing.
There's some
Oh.
some people you filter fish with mayo instead of plain.
That's Eurydice Adoris, Reb Moshe.
You might seen that.
That's Eurydice Adoris. I'm telling you. That's in England they eat fish. They eat chips with salt and vinegar.
This is so disgusting.
And if you really want to know, seeing as how we're kind of at the end of the class, I will now reveal to you. You're not going to believe this. I will reveal to you why they eat chips, what we call chips, French fries, freedom fries, whatever you want to call them, with salt and vinegar. It's rather bizarre. In the olden days, they used to fry chips in fat, animal fat, and they were extremely slippery after they came out of the fryer. So they sprinkled them with salt in order to stop them from just slipping down and being able to enhance the experience of eating these things. And the vinegar was there to wash away the salt. And over the generations, it's turned into you eat your chips with salt and vinegar. Now, don't say I never taught you anything.
How do they serve the vinegar in a bowl?
The vinegar comes in a thing with a little spout on the top, and you just pour it over like that.
You ever had salt and vinegar chips before?
Are you kidding? I grew up on salt and vinegar
I think
chips.
those are delicious.
I think so. Listen, I think so too. There's a concept in the Gemara called Girsa de Junkasa, which is what you learn when you're younger is what sticks with you. And one of the things that I learned when I was young was that chips with salt and vinegar are delicious, and that's
serve that
something
on your
which has
Shabbos
stuck
table?
with me. No, I don't serve it at my Shabbos table, but that's for other reasons. My wife seems to think that French fries are unhealthy. I don't know where she.
English?
No, I don't know where she gets his ideas from. Anyway, we're going to stop over here, Mitzvah Hashem. I hope that tomorrow, of course, was supposed to be the best day of the week because I don't come in, but we're not going to have electricity tomorrow at home, so maybe it won't be the best day of the week. I don't ever know. I'll let you know on Sunday, Mitzvah Hashem. I don't think we'll have electricity by then either, but whatever. If there's no electricity, then I will be here, basking in the warmth of the fluorescent lights. Yeah? Good. Okay, everyone should have a good Shabbos. Mitzvah Hashem.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good luck with the roof.
Thank you.